Hi, this is Brittany Hamlet Concepcion, the virtual content specialist for multilingual learners and English language learners for science in grades K through 5. This particular video is designed for week 24 of the Science Core Knowledge Curriculum. However, the resources in this video can be used at any point throughout the year in any content area. And it's important to note that this is not just for grade 5, as my previous videos have shown supports for grade 5 and the grade 5 curriculum, but this can also be used in grades 3 and 4 as well. There's a lot of collaboration resources that are out there for teachers to use in small group instruction that can be very, very useful for multilingual learners and English language learners. The contents of this video will talk about a little bit of the needs of multilingual learners and English language learners in content areas across the board, and just some collaborative websites and some resources you may or may not have heard of that might be useful for you while you're planning instruction this week and instruction in the weeks coming. So when we're thinking about the different supports and collaborative resources for our English language learners and multilingual learners, we need to think, well, who are they and what do they need? And we can do that by learning their proficiency level in order to help identify some additional supports that may be useful for them. So when we're thinking about the entering and emerging students, we want to give them lots of images, videos. We want to do teacher-led small groups and do a lot of modeling so that they're hearing the different content areas in all sorts of media and also seeing how to conduct the way they speak, how to write through these teacher-led small groups. Some activities can include pre-filled organizers, some closed paragraphs with picture and or word banks, especially if they're entering students. And we want to have them drawing and labeling to show that they're learning. When we're thinking about the transitioning students, they're the students who are right in the middle. They've made this progress where they can possibly talk more, engage with other students, but they also still need lots of support. So consider using lots of varied level text, writing and discussion starters, and lots of modeling to show them how to use those writing and discussion starters. Some activities can include a partially filled graphic organizer, as well as some paragraph frames or sentence frames with word banks, and really encouraging them to do more student-led work and student-led small groups. So when we're thinking about the expanding and commanding students, we might consider more strategy groups because these are students who are of higher English language proficiency. So you want to give them lots of opportunities to share what they're learning through KWL charts or different visual thinking strategies. You can also give them opportunities to help other students and to be the language model for your lower proficiency level students. So some activities that they can complete can include some self-made graphic organizers where they look at a text and they decide which organizer would best help them to process that text. And that's giving them more of that autonomy, and you're still supporting them and guiding them through completing this activity, but it's giving them the opportunity to show that all of the supports and scaffolds they've previously used, they can now do more on their own. You want to give them more activities that are evaluative and more analytical, where they're more student-led discussions and student-led activities to show that they're learning. You may also consider giving them lists or word banks of synonyms so that they're using more of that grade level vocabulary and those grade level grammatical structures. With that being said, here are some collaborative resources that might help you as you are grouping your students with different proficiency levels. So one thing that might be helpful if you do have the opportunity to have students in breakout rooms, whether it's on Zoom, Google Meets, or Microsoft Teams, you might want to consider giving them specific group roles. You can present that to them and have them choose which role they want to complete, or you can definitely tell them which role you would have them do. So this might be really helpful. This particular template for group work roles is sourced from Mrs. Parkshine, and you can see her website where you can access this free resource. This may be really helpful to have different levels. And what I mean by levels, I mean proficiency level students in this whole group, so that they can each serve as language supports for one another, but also so that it's not just homogeneous groups. You really want to make more heterogeneous groups so that everyone is supported and everyone is helping each other. This might be something you can consider in doing that. Another collaborative resource that I absolutely love and I use all the time for real-time collaboration if I'm working with a small group, and you can also use it for asynchronous instruction, but it's Jamboard. And this particular Jamboard is available to teachers who have Google Suite. So this particular one, students were able to show their learning at the end of the particular lesson. You can also have them draw on Jamboard. You can see here that there's lots of sticky notes. They can add pictures and GIFs. They can add different shapes. I mean, Jamboard is such a resource that can be used across content areas for all different levels. Another collaborative resource that I love, and I'll show you how I've used it in the past for asynchronous instruction, but also for some independent assignments where students have to talk and they have to talk with one another, or they have to respond to something that another student said. I love to use Flipgrid. So the flexibility of Flipgrid is that students can, put different filters. They can put images on Flipgrid. You, as the instructor, can put an example on there so that the students know what to do. And I can show you here, this is one way I have done this for one of my classes, is I had an instruction video, content video, where the students were able to review what we talked about in the class, the content area we talked about in the class, and then I was able to put these instructions here and some questions to help to guide their answering as they did it independently. I also was able to put some discussion starters there so students can use that in their submission of the video. What's great about Flipgrid is that students can respond to one another using a video, or they can also text or write their comments if they feel more comfortable doing it that way. So it's a very engaging and collaborative platform that I really love to use for my 5th and 6th graders. This might be something you can use if you have students doing a writing assignment and they're struggling with their writing, but they can also perhaps tell what they mean to write. That is definitely an accommodation you can use for English language learners, but learners of all sorts of capabilities. I hope that this was helpful for you as you are planning your weekly instruction and planning your small groups or some collaborative resources for students. As always, I hope to see you in the next video.